spec for our deal with them. I won't share like the breakdown, but we can confirm there was no percentage of equity in Kingdom Studios exchanged. Everything was at what I consider a very, very fair price to the DeFi Kingdoms community and Kingdom Studios in the form of tokens and some USD as a small retainer.
Perfect. Let's see here. I do think it is worth noting also, and Dreamer might have mentioned it, so I apologize if so, but we are planning on having some AMAs with Wisdom as well. They have expressed interest in talking with us as well. And then also we're going to have a Discord channel, which actually the channel is open now, although you cannot send messages in it yet because our Discord, or not our Discord, sorry, our Wisdom friends aren't in there yet. But there will be a Discord channel where you can actually talk directly with some of the reps from Wisdom also. So communication is going to be very open. So I do think that's worth noting as well. And I forgot to mention it prior.
Could I throw in a couple thoughts here too, real quick?
Whenever you
Yeah, no, I'm like really excited about this, and the way that we structured the agreement with them is really exciting because it really shows essentially the sort of like the faith and the bullishness that like Wisdom Games has in it, because a lot of that is essentially paid in like some tokens that will increase in value from the things that they are building. And that's exactly what you want to see in a structured deal like this, where like you get what you put into it. And that's really the whole thing of crypto itself, is like you get what you put into it. You have to build it, you have to expand, you have to grow it, and that's part of the ethos there. So I'm excited about that aspect, and also the aspect that a lot of these people have been players of this game for a long time, even some of them since very, very early on. So, that's just some of the things there that really made me excited about that deal.
Most definitely. Let's see. So the next question is actually in reference to the prototype that we had built prior, and essentially just kind of the state of that, if it's still being used, if it's been scrapped, etc.
I guess
I'll let
the prototype that we had built prior.
So that prototype,
kind of the state of that, if it's still being used,
with
if it's been scrapped,
combat devs that we had
etc.
previously that are no longer with the team. And so what we've taken with that with Wisdom Gaming, which we went from having 2 devs to 8 at our disposal. So we're looking to expand things and taking what we can from that, but we're also looking to really utilize the skill set that Wisdom is providing with us, and hoping to take it further than where we were going with that original prototype.
Yep. A prototype is exactly that, a prototype that is intended to sort of test out things and to have a look at sort of what works, what doesn't, what could be improved, etc. And it was still a very good test. There was a lot of really cool things that we were able to establish in terms of abilities and such, which will probably influence or at least inform things in the like newer system. Plus, we were able to see, like really clearly that having all of these things being entirely on chain is very hard. So we were able to suss out some new architectural types there, which we'll also be pioneering. So there was a lot of good things that came from that, and it was actually a really cool prototype. I liked playing around with it too. And I'm excited about the stuff that we're currently building there as well.
Appreciate both of you, gentlemen. Along that same-ish vein, are there any timelines available for the initial development? Are there any plans for the community to be involved in like alpha or beta testing? I'm going to pause there. There's a second part to the question, but it's a little bit unrelated, so we can answer that part first.
So speaking about timelines, I know that they are really starting to like start in earnest basically these last couple weeks. I don't know if we have an exact timeline yet from them. I think Dreamer might know some more there as well. Perhaps Hubert does, but I do know that they want to get a prototype that, or actually, it's more than a prototype. I think sort of a demo that they would like to show to the community really quickly, because having that get put out sort of sets the stage for discussion and for feedback and things like that. Now, of course, like really quickly can vary in terms of timeline there, but I have a lot of faith in their experience there and things. So I'm excited to see what they are able to come up with.
Yeah, we want to be careful with timelines because this is a new partnership. So there's a lot of skilled people, a lot of good backgrounds, there's a lot of good intent, but we need to see some, proof of concept a little bit as working together to be able to share timelines. Now we have goals, and those goals are not years, but those goals may adjust given the new problems that we identified to solve. So more to come on it. But as noted, I think that we are looking to share progress as there's progress that comes out, and there are some exciting deliverables for the committee next week internally that may turn into releasing some things in the following 2 or 3 weeks after, in terms of like little teasers and like maybe a get to know Wisdom effort. And I think the roadmap and timeline after probably the first month will become a lot more clear. Whereas right now we're just being very cautious to make sure our focus is on quality of the output and not over promising a timeline based on arbitrary like inputs that we aren't as sure of, so that we don't end up setting bad expectations.
Definitely. So then the follow-up question on that is having like a trailer for marketing be involved, which obviously will be a little bit farther down the road once, we have some demos and whatnot to make that trailer out of. But the question was along the lines of, will Wisdom be providing a trailer? Are we planning on making a trailer? Have we given that any thought, etc.?
Maybe let us come back to that one. I think that we will want to have marketing efforts. Trailers cost money, and we're focused on which areas to spend the money. But I do think that there's a lot of skill sets in the parent company over at Wisdom that potentially could help in the collaboration. But we haven't decided anything on that yet.
Perfect. Thank you much. Let's see here. So, another question was, and I know we kind of spoke to this earlier, and it may basically be the same answer or a comparable answer, but essentially, like, what experience from Wisdom led us to partnering with them?
Yeah, so I went through a couple weeks of meeting with a bunch of game studios. Some were very, very large, and we might look for opportunities to do collaborations or things with them in the future. Others were very talented, but not really aware, not like intimately aware of DeFi kingdoms. And Wisdom was kind of right smack dab in the middle, but the extremes on both. Their energy and excitement about working with us is off the charts. They have been in DFK. They have had their own great success in the many things at Wisdom, and launching Wisdom Gaming to focus on Web3 and getting a lot of different requests and contracts from different projects. They really wanted to work with us. And when we started to see their sincerity and their excitement, it became very, very clear that this isn't going to only be like a transactional collaboration of we want A, we pay B, you give C, but instead we're coming together with really talented fans that have organized themselves in a completely unrelated fashion and are coming together in our mutual interest and desire to make DFK incredible. So that was one of the biggest things that stuck out. It's always, I don't want to say easy, but it's always possible to find people that can do what you want them to do and pay the money. it's a completely different thing to find people that you vibe very well with. You're excited to get on the phone with. You start bouncing ideas off each other. You start talking about timelines. It's not about stress or butting heads or conflicting views. It's about creating a game that really is meant to be fun and safe and incredible and innovative that nobody's done before. So the relationship that we tested out almost for like a whole month with them really proved to be the best potential group to collaborate with on this initial offering of PvP. And we'll see where it goes. And we'll see, there might be other groups that are better suited for other types of features. I guess we shall see. This is kind of our first effort here, but are excited because of the people that we're working with, how professional they are, and how passionate they are.
For sure. I haven't had the chance to interact with them as much as some, but even just every time I've gotten to talk to them, they're just believers in the project, and that alone is worth so much. They've been believers. So very much appreciate the background there. And then I have a follow-up question from the compensation question, which we may or may not be able to answer. So I'm going to throw it out there, and then I'll let Dreamer decide. The payments made in DFK tokens, is there any kind of time lock, or are they staggered to prevent a rapid sell-off?
I'm going to answer in an unclear way, but answer, I think, the main questions being asked. No tokens are being paid that can be sold immediately or in a rapid way or all at once. And we'll leave the structure of the deal be the structure of the deal.
That's
but,
perfect.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I think that answered the question. I knew that one was going to be a fine line to walk there, so appreciate it.
There's no exchange of like liquid jewel that can be sold in a short, mid, or even midterm, really. And then even when it does, they are able to, it's a longer schedule of release. So there's at no point in time, whether it's today, tomorrow, or I guess like 4 months from now or 6 months, are they going to like be able to sell the whole chunk? That would be over essentially a multi-year horizon.
Perfect. Thank you much. So I wanted to ask this question that is actually not directly about wisdom, but about our view with PvP and PvE. What's our thoughts on approach to balancing with like buffs and nerfs as a meta takes shape for both PvP and PvE, really? Are we planning on being more hands-on with those adjustments, hands-off and kind of letting them play? Do we have commentary for that? Probably Hubert would be my guess.
Sure, yeah, I can answer that. So my take on this is, just looking at the way games are developed, and especially a game of this scale where it's, more of an MMO and you have all these different interacting pieces. It really is necessary to do balancing. It's just for the amount of different interactions that are possible. It would take far too long to be able to test every possible combination before releasing it. So, there will be things where we'll see, okay, this skill is way too overpowered, or this hero class doesn't have enough, strength behind her, or whatever. There's always going to be that, and there's always going to need to be a need for balancing. So, I am of the opinion that we will be doing that as necessary, but hopefully we'll get to a point where we get it balanced enough where we can be more hands off, and it would just be when new things are introduced that we'd have to look into rebalancing potentially. But in the early days, I would think balancing would be a commonplace thing.
Awesome. I appreciate it. So we actually made really good time on those questions. There's a couple unrelated questions that we can just knock out real quick because we do have a little bit of time, and then there's a question that can lead us right into Dreamer's big announcement. So that'll actually work out really well. The first one is probably primarily for Beetle Dude. It's about the heroes getting stuck on Crystal Vale during questing, which I know we're aware of and have been unsticking. But any information on that, Beetle?
Yeah, that actually might be. Hubert might have some more insight into the Solidity side and what they've been working on there.
Yeah, if you want me to jump in, or if you have more, sorry.
Sure. No. I think, I think you have some more insight into it than I do currently.
Okay. Yeah. So this bug has been obviously there's a lot of people that are getting stuck, and that's really unfortunate. And apologies to those who have been affected. The cause was due to an upgrade that had a piece in it that we didn't, a bug in it that we didn't get to, or we didn't notice when we were testing, and it kind of created a situation where if you were impacted, unless we fix it manually, the issue will propagate even after we fixed the bug. It still was in place because it kind of messed up the entire questing queue system that we have in place. So at this point, our belief is that the bug has been resolved. But if you're impacted with stuck heroes, if you quest on the quests that have stuck heroes, it's likely that those heroes could also get stuck. Until we've fixed it, we've actually gone through and fixed it for you. So if you have not reported any stuck heroes, but you have some, please do report that so we can get you taken care of. And we appreciate everyone's feedback and helping get this all resolved, because it's been a bit of a challenge, but it also has come with the benefit of having our future stamina system. And really everything that goes along with stamina and how it's used during questing, I think as perfect as it can be, to be honest. When we started out with questing, heroes did not recover stamina after their questing timer was over, so you had to complete the quest immediately. They also only worked with the stamina that they had at that exact moment, so if you're queuing multiples in advance, you'd have to have them all at full stamina. You'd end up with a lot of wasted stamina. So the system as it is now takes into account the amount of stamina that you would gain from waiting in queue. It makes sure you're recovering stamina after you've completed the quest, but you haven't done the transaction yet. This is just a little bit of a growing pain and an unfortunate bug that came out of getting that all working to the state it is in now. So.
Makes sense. And if you have any stuck heroes and you have not reported them yet and you need to, use the Crystal Vale support channel on Discord, or reach out to any of our knights, or myself or Sachet, and we will get them unstuck. We'll free them from purgatory, and then that way you'll be good to go. So if you do have any stuck heroes, please let us know. We will fix it. And then there's another question, and this may be actually Beetle also, or Fox, maybe a little bit of Hubert, but having an in-game address book. So we have the ability to send the items directly from the UI now, which is super useful, but having an address book saved there as well so that you don't have to go look for OX addresses. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I like that idea a lot. It might be something that we could just surface on the front end on each item, or maybe people are wanting to have more of a catalog. I think that could be a great idea. I know we talked a little bit about having a Pokedex for our pets, so maybe also kind of like an item as well would be cool.
Yeah, that would be awesome. And, as Fox mentioned earlier, we have a lot of features, or not features, but quality of life improvements that we, have planned and just haven't had time with driving parity to knock out yet. So, patience on that front, please. But yeah, I think that would be a really cool thing to add to that list as well. And then
Absolutely.
There's a question here that I'm going to direct at Fox. Do we have a timeline on the top duels rank rewards that we had mentioned previously?
No, not an exact timeline right now, but I have some ideas for things we've been putting around. I can say that we want to do those at around the same time that we launch season 1. So in terms of like dates, no, but in terms of what comes after another thing, we'll basically be announcing the date that we will close down duels on Serendale. We'll say like on this date, that will be the last duel fought. And then we will announce the date that the last raffle will be held on Serendale, because we'll be having to close that down too. That will happen after duels closes. So we'll give a period of probably a few days to a week for anyone who still has raffle tickets on Serendale to make sure that they're able to use those. And then the Duels Season 1 will launch on Crystal Vale, along with the like Raffle Master and all of the like refactoring and stuff that was in place there. And then we'll also be looking at adding airdrops and things for those that hit certain ranks, as well as I think we're planning on some achievements. And then we'll be looking at doing a special sort of like drawing or like raffle for all of the participants as well to win some cool things. Hopefully that helps.
Awesome, most definitely. Also, did you want to share your news for next week now, or did you want to wait until the end for that? Entirely up to you.
You talking to me or to Dreamer?
You, sorry. With what's planned for the beginning of the week.
About birthday things, or are
Yeah.
we talking? Yeah. So I sort of alluded at the start that we have some things planned for birthday. Next Monday is our birthday here at DFK. We launched August 22nd last year. This year, August 22nd is Monday, and we've got some cool things planned. I think Poppy has a write-up that she'll be putting out tomorrow. So keep your eyes peeled for our Twitter. And I think we'll put some things into the town crier as well, explaining some of those things and what they are and how to participate in them. I think it's going to be really fun, and I'm excited for you guys to see what they are and go participate. So yeah, that's all I'll say for now on that.
Happy birthday to DFK. Almost. We're almost there. Monday. But yeah, I'm really excited for that as well. I think it's going to be a fun event. All right. And now I'm going to ask the final question, which will then lead into our other big announcement. So this one is for Dreamer. As far as before moving off Harmony, waiting for the Recovery 1 team response.
Yeah, so I'm going to be delicate like I've always been, and I think I usually get more criticism on being too nice about this subject than being too harsh, but I feel like that's the right way to talk about these things. We don't want to, kick people while they're down, but our focus has been to be really good partners with everybody we work with, and the initial core founders chose to launch on Harmony, and it was a really good decision that brought out an amazing community, so many collaborators and contributors, and a lot of growth and success as we worked with the team there to try to improve our overall professional relationship. We did see a lot of that improvement. We also saw areas that we learned we really need as we grow bigger and look for new goals and to really do right by our community, to make sure that we have partners that see the vision, support builders, and really focus on technology and communication. And I think that we have experienced, some of that and maybe less of that over time with Harmony, but in finding, some new partners at Avalanche, that we did see how awesome it can be to work with a very, very strong team with that focus. And we're very appreciative of all the efforts on both sides. As we moved into the most recent events, we did have to start looking at different options within the team, looking at budgeting, considering a raise, looking at strategy. How do we navigate this really crazy market of, things happening in the world, things happening with regulation, things happening with central banks and with the crypto and so on. And there was the unfortunate incident that is still unresolved. I do think that we have given ample time to look for a solution that might warrant giving up all opportunity costs of potentially moving to another chain. There has been an overwhelming, from my perspective, overwhelming amount of requesting that we consider leaving Harmony. And I'm very proud that we didn't just have a knee-jerk reaction and just run right away. Those aren't the kind of partners that we want to be. We did review the initial plan. That plan was then confirmed that they're going to go back to the drawing board. I hope that that plan still comes out with efforts to provide some form of resolution for the many that are holding tokens that were affected by the bridge incident. However, our decision on what is best for the future of DeFi Kingdoms, what is best for our risk management and business continuity planning, really needs to be independent of their plan to see in what way they might be able to make whole some of the participants or protocols that were impacted. So I do think at this time it would be probably not the best risk management or business focus to continue to pause and wait and not consider other options for partners to step up. So that's the initial response there. I don't think we're waiting. Matter of fact, Bolin, I don't know if we want to move on to like the next kind of last piece that will lead into some big news. But did you have anything to add to that, or others want to add to that before we shift to that?
I want to add a couple thoughts, if that's okay. Yeah, so there's a lot of speculation about, like, why do we do multi-chain versus single chain? There's a lot of hard things involved with having an app that runs on multiple chains. You have to worry about bridging and all these things. Why do we build a game on the blockchain even? It's hard, but we choose to do hard things, not because they're hard, or not because they're easy, I guess, but because they're hard. It's all those hard things that really are groundbreaking, that we want to be the pioneers of. So there's a lot of cool things that come out, but there's a lot of pros and cons to it. One major pro that I'm a huge fan of is being able and having the opportunity to work with all these great teams that are out there in the blockchain space. Like Avalanche has been amazing to work with. There's been really good teams out there. Like we've interfaced with so many other teams. Like I probably shouldn't drop a lot of names here, but there's just like so many out there that we've had the opportunity to work with that are very professional, very excited about what they're building, and are in the process of creating very groundbreaking, pioneering sort of like things there. So basically, that's one of the major pros that I see. And it's a great opportunity for us to look at what other projects and teams can we integrate with when we're trying to build this like multi-chain metaverse sort of thing that we're building. That is a very necessary thing for us to do. Even though it's not easy, we still choose to do it because it's hard.
Very well said. I do not have anything to add before we move on to the next part. We could take like a 7-minute moment of silence though, just to, build the anticipation.
Yeah, I think people might not be able to stand that. So I guess we'll move on to the. So we're going to try to be a little bit transparent here, but next week I think the plan is on the birthday of DeFi Kingdoms, we're going to have a special, I don't know if we'll call it an AMA or roundtable, but we're going to go into this topic in detail. So we are going to name drop here in a second with a little bit of an intro, following which we're going to have on the Raptor site specific chains or threads for questions that we're going to be collecting that will feed into the special AMA next week. During the special AMA, we're also going to try to release some helpful documents, maybe a 1-pager. It might end up being a 2-pager on potential migration, tokenomics, impact, and the overall plan. We want to be as transparent as possible. But today, we're just going to share background on what we've been doing, why we're doing what we're doing, and who we are doing it with. So what we've been doing, we've been talking to a lot of different chains, some of which have been watching us for a very long time, some that have some really good benefits if we were to consider to build on them. Names that, people have been throwing out. I'm not going to list all of them here. I don't think that's necessarily appropriate or relevant, but one question is, have we been talking to Polygon? And yeah, we've been talking to Polygon since like November last year. Polygon has always been, and will probably, unless something really big things change, always be in focus to build on at one point. But there's one really big thing about Polygon that we're excited for, and that is for a realm that is themed for them, created for them, just as we created Christabel for Avalanche. When we're considering, on the back of the events that happened, a move of an existing realm, we have to look at the style and the theme of that realm and find a partner that it would match very well with, that we'd be able to market it, and that there would be upside in terms of user acquisition and ecosystem to all of those that are currently active in Serendale. Polygon is not that solution. I think stylistically, Serendale does not match Polygon themes. I think we don't want to overpromise anything, but I think in my dreams, I see Polygon being a completely different theme that maybe I won't say anything because maybe others don't agree, but futuristic, mecha, like I don't know. A lot of cool stuff could happen in that overall theme. So stylistically, not the right fit. Was there interest of Polygon for us to go there? Yeah, there was a lot of interest. We had a lot of discussions, and we met live. We had a lot of follow-ups, talked to many teams. As mentioned, all the way back since November, there was a little bit of a different view on what it would look like if Serendale was considered to be on Polygon. And that was inconsistent with our strategy that we've been trying to cultivate. And so we're going to leave Polygon, continue to be soft earmarked for a potential realm in the future, keeping in mind, if we continue to build realms, and I don't think there would be another focus on building a realm anytime soon, as we really want to build this multi-chain foundation across two, it's Christabel and Serendale. But in the years to come, there might be, up to 2 additional full realms and maybe some mini presences on other chains as well. So wanted to address that, since I know a lot of people are saying, oh man, is it going to Polygon, thematic? So I'll pause there if anything to add on that narrative before the name drops. So sorry to keep delaying it, but I wanted to make sure that we address that as well, because we are in collaboration and talks with Polygon. They have been incredibly interested, incredibly helpful, very professional. But for this specific move of a new home for Serendale, not the best fit, and we see other fits down the road.
I will just add that we had a very clear vision of multi-chain that we wanted to maintain, and the expansions that we have planned. We want to make sure that those things which represent the opportunities for growth here in this project remain very strong in making these decisions that we made. And a lot of very careful thought was put into this, and a lot of effort on the part of Dreamer and others as well. So major kudos to you, Dreamer, on all of your efforts here, and I'm excited to hear that name drop soon.
Okay, this wasn't planned to be such a delay, but didn't want to make sure that's out of the way. Okay, so now what is our main focus, right? It's a pretty large opportunity cost to uproot Serendale and move it away. And in no way do we have animosity towards Harmony. There needs to be a benefit. There needs to be a strategy. There needs to be some kind of an upside for this very disruptive move. And what we looked for in chain partners, one of the biggest was, we need a stable chain to operate. We need a chain that's fast and cheap. Well, we have that. That's DFK chain. We need good partners that are well positioned, in the Americas and EMEAs to work with us at marketing and events and navigate the whole space. But we have that. Our partners over at Avalanche, we have that. What do we really need? What could benefit the overall ecosystem and partnership? Well, we don't have very much exposure in Asia currently. We do have select communities throughout Asia and Southeast Asia and other parts of Philippines that are building in strength. But in terms of our true partnerships, we don't have a lot in that region. So that was an area of interest, and there's always been an area of interest. Actually, it's come up on a few AMAs, I believe, in the last couple months as well. So we started to, look into options there. If there was a partner that was better positioned, and there are a couple chains that are positioned well there, but there's one in particular that sticks out. Now, this chain has a tremendous amount of partnership announcements in the last year and a half. I invite everybody to go and do all of your own research and kind of see, what you think are strengths and not. But user acquisition and the potential for increase of user acquisition in the next phase of Web3 and Web3 gaming, whether that's accompanied with a bull market or not, is definitely in focus. Everybody's looking for where are new users going to come from in the space. People are looking for ease of onboarding. They're looking for, governments that are supporting it. They're looking for partners that are supporting blockchains. And if you look at a lot of blockchains, those that are well partnered with regulatory authorities, with banks, with gaming studios, traditional gaming studios, with new studios coming up, and art and overall technology, they're going to be among the best positioned. And in Asia, we found that Clayton was one that definitely stood out for a number of reasons. So Clayton is a blockchain in South Korea. They launched in 2019. And in the first year, they amassed 1 million users, according to, I think, a Forbes article that's online. And as they were building their user base and building out their ecosystem, a couple big partnerships caught my eye. So I have actually lived in Korea for a few years. I speak Korean. So I was just overall excited about the potential of events and various partnerships that we might be able to do in the region. I also lived in Singapore for a few years as well. And I saw that Clayton is very well partnered with large companies like Altava Group in Singapore, East NFT in Thailand, Sorimitsu in Japan. They have Chainlink partnership and full integration that has gone live recently. They are already partnered and connected to Synapse Bridge, which is also our main supporting bridge that is gamified in the docs. They're working really closely with some very large banks through their parent company. I won't try to name drop all the banks, but again, you can go do your own research. When you have funding, when you have technology, when you have a lot of giants in coming from different countries in a certain region, you identify a huge potential foundation to create a springboard in the next potential progression and the innovation of the space. So this is a decision to be very strategic about leaving Harmony. What is the upside to the new partner? Is it similar users that we already have exposure to on DFK chain? Is it similar technology or a similar almost competitor to where we are already strong? Or is it a strategic bet on a newer area where we could expand our offering, potentially expand our net globally, our strategy, and our overall marketing and user acquisition model? So now, how does the technology check out? Well, they've been around for a few years, and they've had their ups and downs like many other blockchains have. And since last year, there have been a number of reported enhancements to their main chain. They also offer the equivalent of a subnet they just call them layer twos. And there are a couple really cool games that have launched on their own layer twos. One is a Nino Kuni that had really good reception and seems like a pretty awesome game to be in the ecosystem. We are looking at the potential of not launching our own layer two, but to launch in their mainnet chain. We have looked at historical transactions and had their folks in technology test if they feel like they can handle the transactions, and they are very optimistic. We are going to be partnering with them very closely on the migration and launch, and many of the details are going to be announced next week and talk through next week with supporting material on Monday. But some numbers to throw out there. There's about 51 million people in South Korea. Sorry, I'm recovering from a cold. I'm trying to drink water. according to a few articles, about 75% of the active population are gamers. So a lot of people that might have been in StarCraft or League of Legends or some other games historically, you know that South Korea and the region was an area that stuck out in gaming. 51 million, 75%-ish are active gamers with ages between 21 and 50. That's directly in the range and the mindset of those that could potentially look at the next stage of blockchain gaming, Web3 integrated and enabled gaming, to be potentially new users for the game, new users for the financial instruments, and adopt it in a way that you have very well partnered support in the region. So with all of these reasons, you know, we considered Clayton as an option. This wasn't the only reason. We've spent probably over a month working with our team, getting to know them. I think we've given updates on kind of a two-way, like job interview, and also a bit of a negotiation. We wanted to make sure there are incentives as well, because we're going to be spending resources building for their chain. We're not going to announce any of the details, but they're, I mean, at this point, but we have come to an agreement on good incentives for us to consider the move as being worth it, not only for the initial work, but extending our overall runway as well, while also aligning our mutual interests long term for their success in DFK and our success in Clayton. So I will pause there to see if Fox or others have anything to add, or if any immediate questions that came up that we feel like we want to answer now before the special AMA next Monday.
Thank you, Dreamer. Yeah, I've got some thoughts. You know, this is a really exciting development. I've been sort of on the edge of my seat the past month or so as we've been, you know, like looking at partners, trying to figure out which one is that perfect fit. And you know, all of the chains out there have pros and cons. There's all kinds of things that we're trying to look at in a partner when we're expanding. And one of the main things that is important and exciting for us as a project that's trying to be a game on the blockchain is players. You know, like we have to have lots of players. And as alluded to earlier, there's tons of players over in South Korea. You know, like StarCraft is life there. You know, that they have so many, like esports is huge there. And so when we were looking at all the chains as options that we looked at, none of them brought that same opportunity to just acquire a lot of new users if we were to partner with a chain like that. There's many other things that are really great about it as well. Like it's has a lot of really good connections with official like entities over there in Korea to ensure that like they're always doing things that are on the up and up and all those things. You know, it's important to look at those that are building out these new markets that are untapped. And a lot of the chains, you know, like we're kind of tending to focus on like the Western world. China has had a very hard and strong stance recently against a lot of things in crypto. But there's a lot of people over there that you know, like still use it, or that are excited about it, or that are programming in it and stuff like that. And I feel like personally, Asia's on the verge of just about to explode into the Web3 world. And this really sets us up very nicely to be one of the main offerings that players that are trying to get into blockchain technology and into things like DeFi can come and try and use and learn how it works. So it was all very much aligned with our core ethos as a project there. There's a lot of other cool things too, like they're creating some new technologies and things that would allow for us to allow our players to spend Joule, for example, for gas. I think they currently have a feature or are in the works of creating a feature that will allow that, which is one of the main things I love about DFK chain, is it just adds that extra like utility there. So, you know, there's all kinds of cool things there that I'm stoked about. We've started internally doing a lot of refactoring on how our code base works with our smart contracts to allow us to essentially like take all of the things that we improved and upgraded for the Crystal Veil launch and redo those things in Serendale 2.0 so that it'll be even better and more secure after we launch it over there. I'm excited about that as well.
Okay. Bolan, did you see any questions that came up that you feel like we should answer right now, or should we look to the Raptor site and start building those out and prepare for the Monday special AMA?
Yeah, you touched on yes, there are incentives, which was the kind of main one that I had seen. I think beyond that, the majority of it should be able to kick over to the Rapidar site. I did fire up that board. It is pinned in the AMA voiceless chat channel right now. I'll get it shared out more once we're wrapped up here as well. But that board is live, so you can start posting questions on there that we will be having that special session on Monday to address those questions. I did see one really good question. Does this mean that we're going to get a DFK Korean drama show? Which I think that's a really valid question. But yeah, it looks like we should be able to kick them all to the Rapidar site and take those on Monday.
Nice. I do just want to cap like what this means, and it's related to the incentives as well. So, we've been doing our best to identify creative solutions with all the problems and things that have happened within Web3 in the world and everything. Looking back, I think that we've done a pretty good job. Our initial focus was surviving. Our next focus was survive but be better. And then when we started getting the first two there, we want to make sure that we not only survive and improve, but we don't want to miss out on the upside. And I feel like this decision, in a number of ways, really sets us up well in the long run. One is probably not as noticeable. So what we did for Crystal Ball Parity is we went to our partners at Avalanche and we said, hey, is there any way you can help incentivize an immediate switch to focus 100% of our resources on Crystal Ball Parity? And they showed up. They showed up and they provided help, they provided support, and they provided an amount of pre-committed funding that will convert to overall equity. That was an initial price discovery of paying for Kingdom Studios and paying for the overall offering. This is a second example now where, although the deal structure and everything can't be released yet, we're still working through a lot of the details and we want to be respectful of Clayton. But this is now another observance of a major chain paying for collaboration with DeFi Kingdoms. What are we going to do after this? We need to resume the fundraise. Now the fundraise is going to have a lot more data points than they had prior to all of this. They're going to have these two data points. We're going to have a lot more data points of what we've done on DFK chain. If you're not over there, please go over there and get questing and everything, because it helps us tremendously with the transactions, with the progress, with the active heroes. With our partnership with Wisdom and the PvP offering, it shows that we're continuing to progress the overall roadmap while also solving for a couple of these other priorities. And with our new focus and new potential user acquisition and expansion to a different ecosystem and all the fun things that we're not announcing today, but will be announced on Monday, it gets, in my mind, I go back to fundraising mode from a position of strength. We were not in a position of strength when the world was crumbling beneath us or everywhere we turned, right? Now I feel like we're returning back to a good foundation, a foundation that not only can survive a bear market, but can, initially we said we weren't here to take part, we're here to take over. Well, for a while there, we're looking for capital and we're getting a lot of questions we didn't know the answers to. What's going on with Harmony? What's your strategy for user acquisition? How are you going to continue to build your other major offerings? What's your mobile solution? What's your global strategy? And now we have clear answers to all of that. So I'm really excited to get back to work once we get a lot of this finalized with the priority 1 and priority 2 of Crystal and Serendale. Because as we go back to the major funds out there, a lot of those that are interested in investing in Kingdom Studios, we have a much more complete picture with good partners, a good foundation, and I think a really sound strategy that I'm sure will continue to evolve and change. But where we are today versus where we are 6 weeks ago feels very different to me, and I think others will see it as well.
Super stoked about that. Sounds like we are a couple minutes over time. I think we used about the last 20 minutes of this AMA about this, but it's such a big exciting announcement that we'll have a lot more info about it. I know there's going to be a lot of questions. I'm already seeing a few out there, so I think Bolon's going to talk a little bit about setting up a board for some of those questions, and we will be addressing and adding a lot more information next week. And I think Bolon, you'll be announcing that sometime as well. So it's really been an amazing ride for this last year, and I'm super stoked about this next year. It's right in time for our birthday as a project, and we're just on to bigger and better and awesome things as we grow and build this amazing ecosystem with all of you guys here. So yeah, I'll turn time over to you, Bolin, and then we'll probably wrap this up.
Awesome. Yeah, I don't have much to follow up with that because that topped anything I could say. That board is live. It's pinned in both the voiceless chat and the AMA questions, but we will announce it out as well. Especially, I believe we're going to be doing some tweets later, so we can tie in with all of that. But definitely go post those questions for us, and we're going to have that special session on Monday where we're going to run through them and get y'all answers to whatever questions you have. So make sure you head over there and ask away. With that, I think we're ready to wrap up. Yeah, Fox?
Had a question about the birds come up, but the birds are still outside. I'm inside this time. But yeah, no, just this is great. Really love to have these AMAs with you guys every week. They're so exciting and so fun to share all the information that we have and can share. And there will be more in the future as well. So just want to say thanks everyone for coming, especially a huge thanks to Dreamer and also everyone else on our team who is hard at work with all of the things that we're building and doing. Sunbear with the build program. There's a lot of awesome things there. Beetle Dude just really killing it on the stuff over there with the builders side. Second Best Dad art is amazing. Hubert, the amazing mechanics. It's just really awesome to be here. So huge kudos to everyone here and for all the hard work that's gone into it, and a huge thank you to the community. And I guess we'll wrap it up by just yelling bullish.
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 Bullish.